It is no longer news that many Nigerians have been calling on the president to cut down the cost of government across the nation. However, it seems that the president is hearing the voice of the people, hence a new resolution to cut down the cost of governance.
So many commentators have said that the cost of governance is too high. The size of government is too large. Well, at least one of those variables is being taken, well, is being, shall I say, being taken care of. But the thing to do, of course, is to ask what your opinion is, because the president has cut down the costs, cut down costs in terms of the size of his entourage, the size of the vice president's entourage. How significant are these adjustments?
Well, I think, first of all, I think it's a demonstration of the fact that the government is responsive.
Okay.
Because there has been this clamor about cost of governance for quite a while now, particularly because of the challenges that has resulted from the reforms.
Okay.
And the fact that the citizens are being made to, make a lot of sacrifice. And there was this clamor that this sacrifice should be inclusive.
Yeah.
In other words,
yes,
everybody
must be part of it.
Exactly. So I think that is what this is reflecting.
Okay.
So it's a good thing that we are seeing these deliberate steps. Before now, I think the president has taken some steps around issues of entourage abroad.
Yeah.
The number of people that will be on the entourage. Now we are talking about, convoy, now merging some ministries and so on. So I think it's very good. It's a very good step. It's good for the optics. But whether it will materially affect costs
is what remains.
It's a different thing.
Yes.
But certainly, it's a good step.
A step in the right direction.
Yes, it's a step in the right direction.
Okay. Mr. Yemi Makpadero, if you, I imagine you heard Dr. Yusuf there. Okay.
Yes.
So give me your impressions, because he used one word in there. He said the optics are good. And I was going to bring that up. How significant is this step? The president has slashed the size of his own entourage, I think by up to 50%, if I remember correctly. Ditto for the vice president. Yeah, it is something. It certainly shows that they are being responsive. They are listening to us, it would appear, because we've been saying this. When I say we, analysts and commentators have been saying this for a while. But give me your impression of this particular move.
Yes, good morning again, Priori, and good morning to Dr. Muda Yusuf. Let me start by aligning myself totally with Dr. Yusuf's opening remarks. The decision, or the policy decision of the president to reduce the convoy and the number of security personnel, and obviously the cost of movement by ministers and heads of agencies and departments of government is. Can you hear me?
Please continue, Mr. Makpadero, because we are being assured where it matters that you are being heard. The quirk, however, is that we can't hear a word that you're saying down in the studio here. So I'm going to come back to you and say, please bear with us should one repeat the question, because what I had asked and you had responded to evidently was your impression on of this particular move. We'd heard in studio when Dr. Yusuf, had said, and among the things he had said, he had used the word optics, and I had wanted to get your take on that too, because it doesn't seem that this is really going to, coming back to studio now, this is really going to cut much from the expenditure. But the spirit is there, because you spoke about people want us to all feel that we're in the same boat, as opposed to some people appear to, emphasis on appear to, be living it up with no change to their situations, but then the rest of us are really going through this. So the president, I think this particular move indicates that they are hearing us.
Exactly. And I'm also hoping that this will go round.
Okay.
You know, this is happening at the level of the executive. We need to see something similar at the legislative level.
At the legislative level. And
at the
state
judiciary.
level. Yes.
At the state level.
Yes.
At the local government level.
Everybody has to be on board.
Exactly. Because that is extremely very critical. If you must address the issues fundamentally, you know, so it has to go beyond the symbolism of this cutting of costs to materially impacting the costs. And we have heard all manner of stories even about the budget.
Yes, yes.
You know, if you really want to address this issue beyond what we are talking about now, is to do a much critical review of the budget, the contents of the budget, you know, and look critically at where exactly can we even go further to cut more costs.
Indeed.
Because that is very critical. I mean, there is a civil society organization, this budget.
Okay.
You know,
yes.
They have done extensive work on the credibility of the budget process, on issues of, you know, project duplication and all of that. You know, those things are critical. I mean, these are organizations that the budget office can partner with, you know, to see how we can, you know, go beyond what we are discussing to ensure that we look critically at the budget and see how we can cut all manner of costs, because a lot of waste
is going on.
Yes, are embedded
waste, if not fraud, and I'll come to that very shortly.
Yes.
Because I've been told that we can now hear Mr. Makwadiro can now hear us. Good morning again, Mr. Makwadiro.
Good morning again, Uncle Yori.
Hello, Yemi. Good morning.
Good morning again. I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, you can hear us clearly. Thank God. The same. Clearly. We can now hear you. I had asked the other time, and please go over it again, really for the benefit of, I think, Dr. Yusuf and myself in studio. I'm told that everybody else heard you, except us. So I was asking what your impression was of this particular move, beyond the optics of it.
Yes. I started my intervention by aligning myself 100% with Dr. Yusuf's opening remark to your first question to him about the importance of, or the significance of the policy decision of Mr. President in terms of cutting the cost of governance. I also agree with him that, I mean, based on your follow-up question, that this is something that should permeate the entire structure, you know, of governance, especially the public service as a not just elective people in elective and appointed offices. But beyond that, I also think it is significant to the extent that it has implications for deepening our democracy.
Okay.
Now, people think that democracy is all about elections. And so once we elect people into office in an electoral cycle, at that point, the citizens have no say anymore. And I am not by any stretch of imagination alluding to the fact that the people on the street actually know more than the people, you know, in power or in positions of power and authority. I'm only saying that one of the hallmarks of democracy is for the people to have a sense of inclusiveness. It might be just psychological or emotional, but when they repeatedly speak about something and the government in power, you know, responds to those hues and cries, it solidifies the confidence of the people in the process, and that their engagement with people in political office is productive. Now, having said that, the premise really is that people in positions of power and authority everywhere, whether it is in the public sector or in the private sector, everyone, in positions of power and authority actually enjoy, certain privileges. And it is a global trend. I think the difference between Nigeria and maybe a few other countries and some of the developed nations of the world is the impunity with which people in authority, people in political offices display, the opulent nature, of her profligacy. When you look at what a councillor, for instance, in UK, a councillor in UK, when you look at what a councillor in UK takes home, it is staggering, but they don't put it in your face, that,
Yes. Yes.
Because I think so much so I can ride, roughshod, over the people in terms of the elegant way that they live. And indeed, many of the people in strategic offices actually are not guilty of this. It is more prevalent, right? At the lower rungs of the ladder. They are the ones you see at clubhouses. They are the ones you see at parties. They are the ones you see on social media, flaunting, wealth, flaunting, being opulent, in the way they live. So I think that, yes, it's very good for the optics, and it also sends a signal to the Nigerian people that, yes, we are listening to you, and while we may not move as fast as you want, we will eventually, listen to you and then do your bidding.
Indeed.
However, it goes beyond the optics, like Dr. Yusuf said.
Exactly.
I want to believe that if this policy is properly implemented and monitored, with a proper monitoring and evaluation system in place, and it permits down the ladder, it is going to free up a lot of resources for more productive activities, in the public sector. For instance, Dr. Yusuf mentioned about budget.
Yes.
When you measure budget performance, especially at the federal level, over time, what you find out is that overall, the budget may achieve 55–60% performance. But on the expenditure side, it is almost 100% or over 100%. But on the capital side is where you see that there is a lot of gap. So I want to hope and believe that this will go a long way in helping to reposition the Nigerian economy.
Indeed. And Dr. Yusuf, to the point that both of you have made, that you hope that this sort of permeates, really across, governance. The president, it was a personal memo, by the way, by which the president announced these measures. He's asked the head of military, the heads of military and paramilitary organizations to coordinate with the National Security Advisor to be implementing these measures. And again, I guess that was probably very well done, because he's passed it to a specialist, to do the needful. In other words, it doesn't matter, because somehow I don't know how Nigeria arrived at this particular situation where you have up to 15 cars in the entourage of a minister. Now the president has said that these measures will say that, look, how is it now? No minister, no federal executive person is allowed to have more than 5 security personnel, and no more than, I believe, 3 vehicles. That is a heck of... Because the way you were making the point, I think, about, we see high-ranking... They move around in other countries, but it's never a shutdown kind of affair, which Nigeria seems to... it happened, but this president is saying that, we need to take a look at that. And we need to put a stop to it.
Exactly.
It's become a tradition.
Exactly. And the security agencies also need to, take this very seriously, especially coming from the president.
Yes.
Because sometimes they also over-dramatize things. When a big shot is going, you see them all around. Even sometimes you see people who really officially are not supposed to be going around with security aids and all of that. You see some men in uniform accompanying them and so on. So we need to bring a whole lot of discipline into that. But you made a particular point about corruption.
Yes.
Because when you are talking about reducing cost of governance, there are two components to it. There is a component of the cost of operations, which are legitimate, expenditures, which may be over-bloated or all of that. Then there is the corruption component,
yes,
in the way we also manage affairs. That corruption component is also a very, very critical component. If you really want to commit, to the reduction in the cost of governance. So this is not just even about reducing costs; it's also about reducing leakages.
Indeed, because it's become persistent now. People complaining about budget padding,
yes, budget
allegations,
padding, and all of that. Yes. And now we also have the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation. You need to see some of the revelations that come from the Auditor General's reports. Over the years, we haven't seen any serious commitment to taking up those. I mean, this is an organ of government. We are not talking about an external organization. This is an organ of government. They have a responsibility to look at the books of all the agencies. They come up with a report. But for some reasons, this report just fizzle out as if they don't matter. And some of those reports, reveal some very, very disturbing revelations about how people are not accounting for funds, how accounts are not being rendered, sometimes for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years, So those things are very critical. I mean, these are frameworks. These are institutional arrangements that already exist. So it's a question of just leveraging on what they do.
Indeed.
To be able to clean up this space. So we need to expand this whole issue beyond issue of convoy, issue of reducing ministers. We need to go beyond that. So if you have a report from the Auditor General's office and it touches practically all aspects of government, what are we doing about those things?
Let me put that question to Yemima Kwadero. As you just heard Dr. Yusuf say, quite frankly, one would have thought that the Auditor General's, setup there, you can almost take it for granted. So I wonder, you having been studying these governance issues, how did we get here where these things now bear actually saying? It's almost as if it doesn't bear saying that you shall not steal. Everybody knows that. Why are you saying that? It stands to reason. So how did we start operating where these things now need to be reiterated? It's a good thing. It's a good thing that attention is being paid to it. But how does that happen in governance?
Well, thank you so very much. In strategy, there is a very important component that we often overlook. And when you see every serious organization, when you look at their strategy, well, most of them don't put all of it out there, but at least we will see some elements. They will talk about their vision, they will talk about their mission, and they will talk about their core values. And that is one area that both in the public and private sector in Nigeria, we have eroded over the years. That talks about the values, the social values, of a people. Our values have been so eroded over time
Okay. One moment. Yes.
So I was talking about, the erosion of our values.
Yes.
And nothing underscores this fact other than what you see that is so pervasive everywhere you turn to in our country. Just look at every institution, particularly public institutions. There is essentially, a resemblance of warped values overtaking the cherished, values that the society expects of each and every one of us. And you could even extend this to the family institution, which is actually the starting point, for socialization for every one of us. Is it even in the religious organizations?
Yeah.
So the corruption is so pervasive that, it's for me, it smacks of hypocrisy on the part of a lot of us when we just focus on the people that are visible, in the public space, especially at the strategic level. And nothing pains me, more than when I see people venerate, their local politicians.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
They venerate their local politicians. They venerate the local government chairman. They venerate their representatives, in the states assemblies and national assemblies. They venerate party leaders in their locality. They venerate appointees of government who live in their domain, who is one of them. And then they stigmatize, almost those who are at the, maybe at the federal level. So you could see that it's a case of, if I am a beneficiary of corruption, it is okay.
Yes.
But if I am not directly benefiting or indirectly benefiting from corruption, then it is evil.
Then you can become a critic. One moment, please. One moment, please. Yemi, I beg your pardon again for interrupting you, but we got a caller calling in from Irewolide. Good morning, Mr. Joshua. Joshua in Irewolide, good morning to you, sir. Oh dear. Let me try again. Good morning, Mr. Joshua in Irewolide. It's been quite a while. Good to have you. Can you hear us? Point has been made that all these are very good ideas. And I think Mr. Makwadurun was actually telling us, sort of looking at how we arrived here and how little by little these things, they become conventions. They're not right. Everybody knows they're not right, but there's this whole political scenario, political scene thing that the president now seems to be confronting. I remember there was a time when the president had to, actually take a pause at his National Executive Council meeting and actually wonder at the number of people that were in here and that these things ought not so to be. And he had actually gone through the, routine of naming people that weren't supposed to be here that he could see. So there's somebody that, there must be some agency, somebody that is in charge of ensuring that you don't have strangers in a National Executive Council meeting. So it's that the policy softened enough for some people to be passed by, just by eye. Oh, yeah, okay, no problem. Or maybe nobody's asking them. Now it appears that the administration is saying, no, we shall be asking questions. In fact, it's not going to even happen again. Because if the president, no less, is doing a personal memo, take the extension of it to the armed forces and other paramilitary organizations, handing that specialized, because let the president not just say that there will not be more than two cars following any particular general, and then it sounds like, well, sir, actually there are certain, because whatever is handed it over to the National Security Advisor, who is a professional. It does show that he means business.
Exactly.
The way some people...
And it's not just even about the number of people. It's also about the value of the assets. I mean, we should be able to cap the value of the car that you should be riding. You know, some of these it's
a very important point that you're making.
Some of these SUVs cost 100 million, 120 million, 150 million.
And these are official. There's a sense in which that is why the official class feels privileged.
Yes.
In fact, that is why they head for somewhere to go and do a Thanksgiving service.
Where are you going that you want to be riding a car that is for 200 million or something like that? Look at the way it was being even defended in the National Assembly when there was this debate as to the cost. Of the vehicles that they were buying.
It's a sense of entitlement.
We should have a cap. Yeah. So that is why I'm saying that this policy needs to be broadened in scope.
Well, I wonder how much of a worry it is that, Mr. President, the other people have enjoyed their own. It's now our turn. Coming down on everywhere.
We are in a reform process.
I thank you very much. That's the whole idea.
This is a reform. Reform is not just about foreign exchange, about fuel subsidy. It has to go
all over our ideologies. What's that national orientation agency that I think is now being given a sort of...
Yes.
They have to become much more into it. Okay, a politician is joining us. Good morning, Mr. Sunny Adenuga, chairman of Goods Party, reaching us from the UK. Good morning to you, sir. No, don't tell me he can't hear. Good morning, Sunny.
Yes.
Sunny in the UK. Good morning. Sunny Adenuga, can you hear us?
Good morning, Mr. Sunny Adenuga.
I heard you. At least I heard you. No matter how.
I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, but I can only hear you through the television. Can you hear me?
Please go ahead. I can hear you ever so faintly.
Good morning.
Please go ahead. I'm just going to imagine that viewers at home can hear you.
From the
Please
TV,
continue,
not
Sonny.
From the phone.
Okay, you're hearing me off your TV. I'm being told that's what you've just said.
You can hear me, but I can't hear you. But let me speak. I will go on and speak on.
Can you? See, I don't know if it will help. If you were to mute your television and just...
President on this.
Okay.
And I think it's not doing enough regarding cutting costs of governance. Let's not deceive ourselves. The main thing that needs to be done for anyone that is serious in cutting costs of governance in Nigeria is to blanketly remove luxury from governance in our country. I'll give you an example. In 2018, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Paul Hawkins, I met him by chance on a flight from Lagos to London. We both sat in economy, and he was telling me that, look at how your country money has been wasted. We had senators of Federal Republic in business flight on BA flight. A British High Commissioner. I can share the picture with you in the future if you care to know. Now, you ask yourself, let's even leave those who are elected. Let me tell you how rough this is. The smallest entity in Nigeria of government that has budget, go and see the lifestyle, their CEO, those who control, who are heads of affairs of this institution. Anytime they are traveling, either locally or abroad, they go on unnecessary trips abroad, flying business class with our money. And look, it's not about reducing how many people that follow vice president. For heaven's sake, the vice president is going to travel maybe to Samoa. He's not going to go and join the public plane. He's going to be in private jet. So who cares if he carries 10 people or 15 people in that private jet? Who cares if the vice president is going on entourage, he has 10 cars, and it's only 5 people or 20 people that could be in this vehicle? The concept is about removing luxury. Our public institutions are too luxurious for people to always want to kill themselves. And once they get there, all they want to do is to continue using our money to live a luxury lifestyle. It is not too hard for anybody to do. If today, if it's one day I'm responsible for that decision, I will make it on that day. You cannot live on Nigerians' money. Living luxury life is a public life. I think I will have to leave it like that. Okuyori, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sonny Adenuga, calling in from the UK there. He's chairman of Boots Party in Nigeria here. Oh, indeed. This is a winner of a move. Any way you look at it, it's a winner of the move. And probably it indicates that, having established that, they actually are listening and they have reacted in this way, it means that quite a number of other issues that are being spoken about are being heard by them. That's the one thing that we now know.
Yeah. And we expect them to also take action.
Indeed.
Because I cannot overemphasize this auditor's report.
Okay.
In fact, I expect that within the presidency, once the Auditor General is releasing its report, somebody that should be a unit in the presidency that should follow through. Because there has to be accountability and there has to be consequences. If you already have structures in place, you need to see what the things that are contained in some of these reports. You'll be shocked.
Exactly.
And it's as if there is so much impunity that after all, nothing will happen.
And I think that sense.
There are institutions, there are agencies that have not rendered account for 2, 3 years, 4 years. And things are moving on like that.
Indeed. And Yemi, you know that would have also read reports or heard reports where it is said that all sorts of things are stuffed into the budget that are actually laughable in the incongruity. You look at what is why is something being sent to some place in Abeokuta for the digging of certain wells, or totally incongruous things coming from very disparate sources according to the budget. Now, what Dr. Yusuf is talking about here, these would have been seen a mile off if all the rules were being followed. And that's why he was saying that he cannot see any way to overemphasize this audit function. One just hopes that if it hasn't been up to scratch before, all of these will begin to, underline the fact that we now want to know. Yemi?
Sorry, I think I lost Dr. Yusuf at a point. I just started. Okay,
what Dr. Yusuf was saying that I'm bringing to your attention is the fact that he cannot overemphasize the audit function. That yeah, that's enough to go by, Yemi. Oh, okay. I'm hearing that it's
by the British, right?
Yes, I just heard by the British. Carry on, please.
Yes, Nigeria, a country colonized by the British.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Post independence, incrementally started building, a political or governance structure that perfectly resembles that of the United States of America. We started with the parliamentary system of government, and then we ended up with the presidential system of government. But unfortunately, even the most educated of us keep, making comparison between an executive president and a prime minister of UK. They don't go together. So there are structural issues in Nigeria. There are also cultural issues in Nigeria. Don't forget, most of Nigeria, right, have a governance structure that is monarchical in nature. A situation where you have one person, that is all powerful, that is next to God, that nobody questions. And it still exists today in all parts of Nigeria. So Nigeria took, the monarchical side of the British system, right, threw out the parliamentary style, and then replaced it, with the presidential system that thrives on, very powerful individuals.
Yes.
Nobody goes to election trying to elect a prime minister of Britain. No. Whoever becomes the prime minister of Britain today must have won an election in his own constituency. But by virtue of being the leader of the party that wins the majority in the House, he becomes the prime minister. So these are issues that we really need to look at. But I'm happy that for the first time, we seem to have, a president, no matter what anybody says, that is particular about the legacy that, he leaves behind and that listens to people. He didn't start listening to people today. The only thing that we need to do is to see how he can succeed in getting the bureaucracy to do the right things. And that is when reports of auditors general will become important. Even in Nigeria, who takes the auditor general serious? Let's be frank with ourselves. If you have the accountant general of the federation in an occasion, and you have the auditor general of the federation at the same occasion, I am telling you, this is what I have witnessed. The auditor general is inconsequential. Nobody respects him. So it is a cultural thing. And why do they not respect him? Because maybe he has no money to dispense.
Okay.
He's just with the books. So whatever he comes out with, those who have been indicted by the report of the auditor general are the ones that are expected to implement, the report of the auditor general. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to work. Okay. Good morning, Mr. George. Thank you very much for holding on. Go ahead now, please. Good morning, Mr. George. Can you hear us? Good morning. Oh. Mr. George, trying again. Can you hear us? Okay. We're going to take it that there's a technical issue, whatever that means. But this is the point he was making, really, because both of you have emphasized the point that you brought up, Dr. Yusuf, that the Auditor General, somebody to be a check, somebody to scrutinize if things are going according to plan, or if they have gone haywire. And it's probably also going to help the National Orientation Agency, because I see they probably also have they have a part in all of this too, because the attitude, the orientation, Yemi was touching on that. Our people don't joke with their chieftaincies. Our people like their titles. They like the, and all the, attachments that go with it. And so a lot of people in our society today would imagine that for having an appointment like that, you're made and people should defer to it. People should defer to it, and it must show. It must show. So it's a work in progress probably, but this whole attitude of public service, we're there to serve. It's a work in progress.
It is. But more importantly is that there has to be consequences.
Well.
That is the whole essence of this discussion about.
Again,
if there are infractions, there has to be consequences.
Dr. Yusuf.
Now, we have the Auditor General seat, but we even have this Nature report, which is a Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative.
Number
with
one,
mind-boggling revelations as to leakages in the oil and gas sector.
And there seems to be a complicity of silence
all
over the place. It's like
these are big issues.
It's like there is and this is pure guesswork on my part. It's like there's a system, and when people come, they are told of the system, and what they simply do is, partake, carry on, don't rock the boat. Because it is thought, maybe allegedly, that if anybody were to come along and actually begin to rock the boat of corruption, then there will be the kind of consequences.
Well, that is why I'm saying that the reform that we're undertaking has to be broadened.
Let me say, I'm being told that I should try Mr. George again. Good morning, Mr. George. Hello, Mr. George? No, it's not your fault, and even not our fault. Clearly, it's a technical issue. Thank you very much for your, efforts, Mr. George. What we were just hearing was static. Even we boosted it, it was just a static noise.
So those are the things I think, and because we need to address fundamentals here. The steps that has been announced are good, but we need to go beyond that to address fundamentals. And the chairman of EFCC said something at the inception of his own regime. He talked about corruption prevention approach. So that you don't wait until people have stolen the money. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And now begin to chase them around. Mm-hmm. We should have a framework, a risk management framework, to ensure that you address corruption risks anywhere within the system. So that before it happens, there's a red flag. There are procedures, there are frameworks to ensure that these things don't happen. Indeed. Because once they happen, to go back and redress it, get them punished, you see how much it costs them.
Indeed.
They're going to cost the getting SAN and all of that. So we should commit to ensuring that we have a framework through all this reform process to minimize corruption, to prevent a preventive approach to corruption.
Well, we're taking another stab at it, and a lot of Nigerians will be thanking the president. Yemi, to come over to you, the directive is particular. It's not general. For instance, I'm reading here that the president's directive issued yesterday, orders all ministers and ministers of state and heads of agencies to have at most 5 security personnel attached to them. At most. If you don't need that much, maybe it'll be known. The vice president, ditto. The vice president also has his own limitations, since the president started out by cutting even his entourage as well. Now, with those kind of, that level of being particular, then the people can see if these things are being addressed. Because we know what we were seeing when they say a minister is coming by, or the vice president is coming by, or the president is coming by. Now people will actually go out there and count, and we shall count what is going on, and then we shall come back here and analyze it. A bold approach as we run out of time, but I think I take the point you've made that this must not be let go of, and we need to see it extended across the board to all offices, public, especially as it relates to public property and procedures.
Yes, I think 2 things that excite me in all of this is the fact that, number one, this is coming from the president himself.
Yes.
So the president has taken ownership, and it means that the people down the line will most likely have to make adjustments. Number 2, is that the president's directive was not a bogus one with regards to the issue of security. For the 5 security operatives, he specifically listed 4 policemen and 1 DSS.
Exactly.
So there will be no reason why the operatives of security and civil defense will also be want to be part of the entourage. There is not going to be any reason why other security outfits, because you see, when big men move around, it is always like a bazaar, an opportunity also for the boys.
Yes.
That is why you find out that with all the security agencies that we have, if each one of them donates 1 person to each entourage, you are going to have over 10 or a dozen. But now the president is restricting it to 5. Another thing.
Well, sorry, Yemi, we've run out of time. I really do beg your pardon, Yemi. I'm so sorry. But I want to thank you very, very much for making time out of your busy schedule for us. Thank you very much, Mr. Yemi Makwaderun, strategy and governance expert. In fact, in studio here, let me also thank you, Dr. Yusuf. Thank you very much for, again, as always, making time for us. Dr. Muda Yusuf, he is the CEO, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise.
He has, however, ordered the reduction of official cars for various ministers and their portfolios. The new dimension, the new strategy about to be implemented by the president, all in a bid to cut down the cost of government. The president seems to be hearing the voice of the people.